What it is, ho, what's up?
I need a nigga who gon' swipe them visas. It's your Miami and I can't run my stack up. And don't period.
Things really change. It's either for the better or the worse. I'm not gonna say I expected the City Girls to be the next Salt and Pepper, but what I would have thought is that we would have gotten more from them. I don't know, I just feel like the grind is always real when you're trying to make it, but when you finally do, your fans just expect that you remain consistent. Although the City Girls had a lot of obstacles in their way, like JT's prison stint and Young Miami's pregnancy, I just didn't expect them to fall this hard to rebuild themselves back up. How did the City Girls go from having the best year of their careers to being listed in a court-documented sexual harassment case because you were the main chick to a man Hollywood is now trying to take down, to also going back to square one to rebuild your fan base? This longevity video is the fall of the City Girls. When the City Girls were first into fruition, it was really JT that wanted to start a group. Growing up, Jatavia always felt like the black sheep, being one of 16 kids, living with her father and her stepmother, her not being the stepmom's biological daughter, and her father hating her mother, who unfortunately dealt with drug addiction. She never felt welcomed in her home. Even though the family didn't struggle financially, she felt like the black sheep of the family. Eventually, she moved to her auntie's house, assuming things would go easier for her in a different area. This turned out not to be the best idea because her auntie wasn't doing the best financially. Eventually, she begged for her dad to let her come back home, but he didn't want her back, leaving Jatavia with her auntie for good. This ended up straining the relationship with her father. She eventually ventured on her own. Because her auntie wasn't doing the best financially, it led to Jatavia to look for ways to make money. Facing homelessness and poverty, she was working jobs like Burger King and Whole Foods while running scams, that being the reason why she went to prison later on. It wasn't until JT got the bright idea to call Caresha. When JT started rapping, she was doing it for fun, doing freestyles. She had an idea to call each of her close friends to ask if they would do a song with her. Calling Caresha, she was open to the idea.
Y'all not taking my rap career serious shit. I'm gonna have to make it so y'all can take me serious. When I make it, then y'all gonna take me serious now.
This served to be a good idea in more than one way. For one, Young Miami embodies a sassy personality that fits well with her music. She was raised in Miami around stars like Trina. Her mother, Kenya Young, had connections in the industry, being equated with Rick Ross and Trick Daddy, most notably Trina, who is Young Miami's godmother. In 2009, Young Miami's mother, Kenya, and Xavier Robinson stole designer purses from Macy's in the Aventura Mall in Miami. They ran off into a crazy high-speed chase. Driving a borrowed Chrysler 300, they crashed in the Miami intersection, killing a woman. There's speculation on whether Young Miami's mom was the driver, but regardless, she was charged for the death. But she wasn't tried until 2017, pleading guilty and receiving a sentence of 5 years in prison plus 10 years of probation. This was around the time that Young Miami and JT decided to start making music. They released their first song, F That Nigga, in September of 2017. That song quickly blew up online and in the club, with the video being released in 2018 with a guest appearance from Trina. It's safe to say that the song was good and bad. It has memorable quotes from both the ladies, but considering the time of its release, that's when more female rappers started getting more attention. The industry was looking for more fresh faces and new sounds, and the City Girls came at the perfect time. In literally a year, the City Girls went from being regular Miami natives to the hottest rappers out. We can also thank the Drake stimulus package. The City Girls caught the eye of Drake and appeared as featured artists on the biggest song of the year, Drake's In My Feelings, remixing their voices in the songs, which topped the charts for 10 weeks.
I show 'em how to network. For that Netflix and chill, what's your net worth?
We know what a Drake package does, and it opened more people outside of Florida to want to know who the City Girls were. Trouble was waiting, as a week after they dropped F That Nigga, that's when JT was indicted on fraud charges.
The crazy part about it is I always had a job. I was working at the aquarium, Whole Foods, Burger King. Bitch, I had a job. I had always had a job. Every 2 weeks, $500, $600. Like, what am I gonna do with that? Like, they need to pay people more.
And she wasn't lying, but it caught up with her. JT was charged with aggravated identity theft and use of unauthorized access devices after making some fraudulent credit card charges. She entered a plea deal where she pled guilty to aggravated identity theft while the other charges were dismissed. She was then sentenced to 2 years in prison, followed by supervised release of up to a year. The day In My Feelings was released, she turned herself in to begin a 2-year sentence for credit card fraud. With JT's up-and-coming prison sentence, the City Girls were in grind mode together for the next 6 months. They caught the attention of label CEO Pierre P. Thomas and Kevin Coach K. Lee. There were only 2 songs out when they got signed.
Letter, like to get me a furlough. So I got a furlough, and when I got my furlough, they gave me 6 months. So through my whole 6 months, I worked hard. I literally was in the studio the day before I never went to sleep. The day I was turning myself in, I walked out of the studio with sunlight. It was time for me to turn myself in, and I was so sad. I cried the morning of. I was like, oh my God. But I had to make these songs because I know we needed an album. We needed something.
But you're in the studio making an album, not even knowing if you're going to be free. You're making music that's going to come out, and you're not even going to be...
Yeah, I'm not going to be there to do it. But it was just like, it didn't matter at the time because I felt like it was nothing else for me to do. I couldn't scam no more. I couldn't, do nothing. It was like literally do or die. So it's like, use my talent or just you fold right now. And I went to the studio. I was at DJ Khaled's studio, matter of fact, and I recorded all night. And then I never went to sleep, not woke up. I walked out of the studio, it was daytime. I said, oh my God, it's the day I'm going to jail, for real. And the night before was such a happy night because I tell the story all the time. That's when our song with Drake came out. So it was such a happy night.
Everything that they did for their mixtape period, including all the music videos, docu-series, and collabs, were done in speedy time so JT can serve her sentence. They needed material. The City Girls blew up quick and immediately started living the life of an entertainer. Their music is the Miami aesthetic, and it was fun. It was an emulation of Trina's vibe in the early 2000s. Sexual liberation and using what you have to get what you want. It's not necessarily taboo, they were just vocal about it and it matched the vibes. A lot of people saw it as hoe music, but there is a double standard on the outrage by audiences. A lot of guys saw it as ratchet music that was teaching young girls to be whores right off the gate, but they didn't necessarily have the same vitriol for the guys who constantly talk about being drug dealers and killing each other. So guys have their fun music and girls have theirs. It just depends on who internalizes it. Anyways, their mixtape period was pretty solid. Each track was relatively the same, but the beats and the song organization was very cohesive with each other. Their singles were The Bag At, Period, and I'll Take Your Man was good introduction to what the City Girls was about.
I need a nigga who gon' swipe them visas.
Can't you understand? If you fuck with me, I'll take your man.
City girls from 305. Get on booty, pretty face, thick thighs. Period.
The City Girls was blowing up, and with the help of Drake and social media, they were literally inescapable. You couldn't do anything without hearing.
Period. 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 Period.
About 5 months later, their debut album, Girl Coded, dropped, and if you thought they were big before, they took over 2019 by storm with their singles Act Up and Twerk.
Real ass bitch, give a fuck about a nigga. Big Birkin bag, hold 5-6 figures. Do it, baby, stick it, baby, move it, baby, lick it, baby, suck up on that, click it to that pussy, got a hickey, baby.
JT's verses remained throughout this whole era, and she was featured on a few more of the music videos to help keep her image out there while she was locked up. The City Girls had huge momentum during this era. Their songs Act Up and Twerk were spring break anthems of 2019. That period was nothing but 613s and ass. Act Up was a song that was helped pen by Lil Yachty and the newest rising star at the moment, who just won a Grammy, Cardi B. So it was a fresh, exciting period in music that was really fun. Even though Caresha was holding it down while JT was gone, they still faced a lot of setbacks. During this period, young Mammy found out she was pregnant with her then boyfriend Southside Baby. I'm sure she hid her pregnancy for a few reasons. Considering she just got signed, she probably didn't want anyone to tell her that it wasn't the right time to have a baby.
I got something to tell you. I know that, JT in jail, and I'm supposed to be out here holding down the group, and, you and Coach been going so hard, making sure we get everything done, and I don't know, I'm pregnant.
And she was also facing criticism for her performances. These girls just hopped into the limelight without much training. While JT was gone, Caresha had to do everything herself, but she wasn't the one that had serious dreams of becoming an entertainer, so I don't think she took it as seriously. P paid for 10 days of rehearsals and she only showed up for 2, so she faced backlash for her stage presence.
Hello.
What's up?
What's up? How did you feel about your performance?
I was supposed to rehearse in LA for 2 weeks for BET, and I only ended up doing 2 days.
There wasn't no energy.
What?
It don't look like it was well rehearsed on your end.
I think it's this. I only rehearsed for 2 days. I supposed to have a week of rehearsal.
What you think you rehearsed in 2 days? Can you get Capri on the phone?
Capri right here. I got you on speaker.
But because we only got at least 10 days worth of rehearsal. That's what we paid for. Why is Young Miami going to all these other places, doing all these shows when on her schedule we already knew months in advance that this girl had to do this BET Awards? So
Okay, but Pete, I was nervous. This was my first. This was my first TV performance. I was focusing on not missing a step. I was focusing on not cursing because that was the main thing. They kept saying, "Don't curse, don't curse, don't curse." That was my first time ever performing with plug in my ears. Like everything that I did for the BET was my first time.
While her mom was also in jail and she had to basically be the one to hold her family together. To top it off, she was shot in her G-Wagon. Someone let off 14 shots at her. Luckily, no one was harmed, but it was very startling considering she was pregnant at the time. Some people speculated that it was Kodak Black. Kodak and Southside do have beef. The week prior to the incident, Kodak dropped a freestyle saying he'd punch Young Miami in the stomach.
Swing and I bought Young Miami a ring. She bought an 808, baby. When I see me hit that bitch in her stomach, the way I keep this shit too real, they say I'm fucking up my money.
Which was pretty lame and barbaric of Kodak to do. Above everything, Young Miami held down everything for 2 years while delivering a beautiful, healthy baby girl. Things did slow down a bit once Caresha reached the peak of her pregnancy and delivery, but the City Girls were still hot from the work she had put in during this period. In 2019, JT was finally released from jail, but things were still restricted because JT was forced to stay in a halfway house, not being officially released until 2020. JT coming home was surreal for her because she didn't get to reap the fruits of her labor the entirety of the peak of her career. Because JT had restrictions, she wasn't able to be visible as she wanted. With the anticipation for the second album came with a ton of issues. Just days before the album's release, Young Miami's ex, father to her first child, was shot and killed. She later revealed that whenever she thinks about the album, which was supposed to be a happy moment as the duo was back, it makes her depressed. They also dealt with the album leaking, plus that's when Corona hit, so it was a lot of things going on. Even though they did have good promising singles for the album, with Jobs and Twerkulator,
I don't work jobs, bitch, I am a job. You don't like it, take a hike, pay me. These rich niggas throwing paper. Now it's time for the Twerkulator.
which I think could have been a great successor to Twerk if it was released during the right time. The pandemic had just hit with everybody in a rampage trying to figure out what's going on and how they should protect themselves. It didn't get the proper acknowledgement it deserved. By this time, the City Girls kept their buzz a little bit, but not entirely. It wasn't about the music anymore, but more so their personal lives that was keeping them afloat. JT started dating Lil Uzi Vert, who is one of the top artists that emerged from the SoundCloud era. Uzi has done a great job maintaining and evolving his career. He has a creative and unique style and didn't fall into the trap of falling off once people started realizing that half the artists that came from that era actually suck. His last album, The Pink Tape, had the biggest hype song of the year and he debuted at #1. He's maintained his position but also built connections within the industry. He is managed by Roc Nation and has close ties to the Carter family, as he was seen leaving with them on multiple occasions like the Grammys and the Super Bowl. Plus, Beyonce has incorporated his viral dance into her Renaissance choreography. JT and Lil Uzi's union also seemed far-fetched and weird because they don't necessarily look compatible based on what JT presents herself to be to the media. Uzi is kinda the weird alt dude who likes rocking nail polish and purses, and JT is the rambunctious city girl who seemingly pushes for a certain type of dude. The people wouldn't assume Uzi would be her type. The union didn't make sense to people, but when they went on their first date, Uzi apparently gave her 30 racks and he has continued to spoil her throughout their relationship. They've dealt with some issues, which isn't too far-fetched because Uzi has been accused of abuse before, as his ex-girlfriend Brittany Byred filed charges against him and he has to serve 3 years of probation. JT and Uzi have been seen fighting in public before and he was acting a bit aggressive with her and Caresha on Instagram Live.
What's up? Caresha, somebody want to talk to you. Okay, come on.
Can I see that phone, please? Is this Caresha? Is this Caresha? Yes or no? Come on, because I already was in them DMs looking pussy and I don't play that shit. Is this Caresha? Bro, stop playing me if I embarrass you on this shit. Is this Caresha?
Baby, your woman is saying
I don't
this to you on the passenger
give a
seat.
fuck. And you know my whole body and soul, and you know I don't give a fuck about nothing. So listen, is this Caresha?
Uzi, me and you don't have to be friends.
I don't care, Caresha.
That's understood. We don't have to be friends.
Caresha, it ain't even about that though. It ain't even about that, because you know me. I ain't never got to see you, just like you ain't never got to see me.
Uzi, what you gotta say?
I'm about to say it. Let me get my whole speech out, because you know I don't do this. Okay? Yeah, I do. It's me. Look at my car. Look at my life. I do way too much. So anyway, Caresha. And JT told me, she like, Uzi, you ain't gonna do nothing but make it worse, so don't say nothing. But you know, clearly I run this shit, and this is mine. So it's just like, Caresha, shut up. JT. If I told you to tongue kiss me on this live right now, you gonna do it.
Okay, well just say.
So just chill. Hey. You saw what I said to you, Caresha, because you left me on scene.
Yeah, because it's like, it's understood. Me and you not friends, and we don't have to be friends. That's it.
But it's not about that, Caresha. I told you, I ain't gonna say it on live. I already told you what be wrong with me. Everybody know what be wrong with me. You don't know me like this.
Yeah, but exactly. I never did nothing to you. This your second
No,
time.
You didn't know. You see what I said. You saw what I said.
So at this point, it's just
and
like,
it's my last. And look, and it's my last time. Like, whether you like it or not, it's my last time. I would never do you like that. I'd never ever do you like that. That's not even in me. Like, I won't do you like that. What you do to me? Like, what you did to me? Honestly, tell me what you did to me.
All right, baby, I see what you.
Relax.
What you want?
I'm not on no weirdo shit. What you did to me?
No, I'm just saying, like, you up there.
Yeah, I am up there, but I'm not gonna go there.
You taking too long with my phone.
You're not getting on live anyway. That's number one.
Okay, so Uzi, you can just hang up and we'll talk off the live because it's a lot.
Yeah, because he gonna.
No, I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just saying, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I get
all
what
right,
you're saying.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right. Get off live.
All right, Caresha. Girl, I can't even.
Summer.
Come on.
Hey,
Let me see Summer.
JT.
What's up?
You look real pretty.
Aside from the drama that they go through, JT has taken a liking to Uzi's style. She has also been biting the alt girl look, and it fits her. Uzi has a ton of connections within the fashion realm, so naturally, as JT is beginning to expand her brand outside of the city girls, she has been diving into the fashion world, making connections with Mugler and Veer Wang. And being spotted with different people like Solange Knowles has been pushing her in a different direction. And Caresha has publicly been in a relationship with Diddy. We all know Diddy as a bachelor. He enjoys a fast life and his influx of women around him. Caresha has openly spoken about being his sugar baby and enjoys his fast life. He's been able to put her in rooms she's never been. Her connection to other people has gotten stronger, and he was able to give her her own podcast show called Caresha Please. Her show has gotten millions of views and garnered more than 1 billion online impressions, winning her BT Best Hip Hop platform twice in a row. Caresha was rebranding, and it was really helping her career, which also made her become comfortable and start revealing some personal things about herself.
You got to.
It say take a shower if you like golden showers. I do.
Golden showers, meaning when the guy pees on you, pee on you everywhere. You like it?
I just like it.
It was all fun and games, and a lot of people were rooting for her since Diddy was spending money. She's a city girl, it's a part of her brand, and everything was cool until Cassie's lawsuit dropped. That's when things went to hell. A lot of what Cassie went through her decade-long relationship was very telling. It showed that all that glitters isn't gold. Although Cassie's lifestyle was being funded, who really knows the things she had to do to attain that? Well, who knows everything she had to do? Since the reveal, it begs the question, was Young Miami also involved in the freak-offs and all the extra stuff he was doing that involved drugs and alcohol with Diddy? What didn't help was when she was going back and forth with Diddy's side piece named Gina. Caresha went on a series of tweets calling Gina an eater and saying that if she wanted to, she could make Diddy make her eat her coochie because she's an eater. And you know what? She's probably not lying. If you're with Diddy, you're subjected to doing weird things of that nature. But remaining silent during these times when your boyfriend is being dragged for his heinous acts just didn't put her in a good light. Because at the end of the day, if Cassie and Gina went through that, what makes Caresha any different? With the success of Caresha Please and JT in Miami trying solo singles, you'd think that their album Raw would be as big as their previous albums. This time around, things were just a little bit different. After a while, some fans got tired of the constant promiscuity. From the past 5 years, the majority of the mainstream female rappers have been overly sexual. The City Girls gimmick was also like that, but it's so prominent now that there's no balance. Most people were turned off by the title of the album. The title was Real Ass Horrors, and like, why? Like, it just felt like it was just doing too much. We get the message, we get the gimmick, like we the audience, we know already. So I think they caught us stray because it was just very tiring. The album cover was pretty nice though. The album sold about 10,000 copies its first week. The album wasn't terrible as it did have some good singles, but it was little to no promotion. It honestly just didn't seem like they put much effort or care or thought into the project. They did a few press tours and damage control from the flop sales, but overall it just looked like they were going in separate directions for their careers. Music together just didn't look like a priority. JT has openly said that she is the one that wanted to do music, but she didn't want to do it alone, so Caresha joined as moral support and they took off. And now that they're established, they can just move on and get their own bag. A lot of fans have been speculating that there's tension between them. The media likes to pit women against each other, creating imaginary animosity between the two, when in fact, they probably just have different views. They are just doing things separately. They've grown from the past 7 years. They each individually were looking to excel in the industry, and they're able to. Young Miami has been getting negative press from her relationship with Diddy. It's been dragging her image even more since she was named in the most recent lawsuit against Diddy. And her association to him just isn't working in her favor anymore. She is branching out with her new solo era, Yams, creating a new persona based off of Deion Sanders. The rollout for the era wasn't the best because a lot of people didn't understand what she was trying to do at first.
Am I the only person that's extremely confused by this Caresha new rollout? The Yams era.
Young Miami's Yams era could have been a hit if she communicated it better. As a person from South Florida, the Yams era makes sense, but what Young Miami and her team have failed to do is communicate that to people who are not from this area. Miami is oftentimes referred to as Yams because of how people from the area say the city's name. Instead of saying Miami, oftentimes they say Miami. Since her stage name is Young Miami, what she's trying to say is she is the representation of Miami, the city. She is the art, she is the music, she is the fashion, she is the vibes of Miami. But also, it's simply a play on her name. Since she is Miami and she is representative of what the city is, she's also just in her era, which she's also saying is her prime. That is why Deion Sanders connects to all of this. Now, he's from Florida, but he's not from Miami, he's from Fort Myers. But either way, he coined himself Prime Time. And since Caresha, Young Miami, is representative of Miami and she's in her era and she's saying her era is her prime, it links to Deion Sanders. But I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot of hoops to get there and for all the dots to connect. While I think 50/50 is a great song to introduce this era and say she is in her prime, to me, the comms for this are all over the place. I understand she's going into a solo era separate from the City Girls. This is a lot of dots for people to try to connect, especially if they're just casual fans peeking in and out on what she's currently doing. I love the attention to detail, we just gotta hone in on those comments.
Since we know Caresha isn't the rapper, there's not much anticipation for her new music. JT, on the other hand, people are looking out for. She has showed that she cares more about rapping, dropping a few singles that's been getting some buzz like Sideways. She did get some flack for her dropping her tour dates at bars and clubs. Some people consider it a downgrade from where she performed previously, but what people don't understand is the value of a fan base. At the end of the day, if no one wants to actually see you perform, then they're not willing to buy your album. She doesn't have a lot of solo singles as is, so you have to cultivate a fan base, and that's what JT is doing. She's starting back at square one, but there's nothing wrong with that. If all turns well, each venue will get bigger and bigger, and JT will expand her audience as a solo rapper. As the City Girls are moving separately, they do get some flack, but I think we have to give the City Girls credit when it's due. For the run that they had, they've done a lot in terms for the era that they created. Like, these girls changed the scene for a minute, creating new lingo left and right with periods, swiped them visas, flued out, defining being a city girl or boy. They were captivating as a duo and managed to become the hottest female duo that we've seen in a very long time, putting Miami on the map and becoming a staple for the culture. Regardless if it's good or bad, the City Girls, they did their thing. For their run as a pair, I'll give credit when due. They did a great job. But now things have changed, and we'll be seeing how they'll do separately as solo acts.
I made City Girls a lifestyle. Like everybody started being City Girls and City Boys after y'all came out.
What's wrong with us giving ourselves our flowers? Like, if I feel like that's how I feel, a bitch ain't gonna change my mind. I know for a fact that we were a big part of culture. And you know, sometimes you have to appreciate yourself and give yourself your flowers and remind yourself, because ain't nobody else gonna remind you.
Let me know what you guys think down below on the City Girls and their careers, and if you're hopeful for their solo careers. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment down below. Toodles!